Hello everyone, Argsy here. Welcome along to our brand new farm here in the Oaks. Now I'm very excited to show you around the farm, show you our equipment and tell you a little bit more about this farm. But we are one of many different farms, I think 5 total at the moment here on the map. And this is a multiplayer server and it is a little bit of a hardcore, semi-realistic or quite realistic server that has just been set up, and we are right at the start of our playthrough on this. Now, Dazed, who you might be familiar with, he has released the seed potato farm buildings and the sorting pack and a few other potato based mods on the mod hub, and he is the brains behind this server and has invited us along to be a participant and to be a farm owner, in fact. So we're going to take a little bit of a look around our farm, where we've started off, what equipment we have and what fields we have, and tell you a little bit more about the server as we go. We'll take a look at some of the other farms, and we're going to be playing this through and just following through as the season goes. We're going to focus mainly on what's happening on our farm, but also keep a little bit of an eye on what's happening on some of the other farms, how they're developing and how they are moving along as they progress. So we'll go and take a little bit of a look just as we're walking in here. In fact, let's have a look on the map before we go in through the gate. I'll show you where we are, show you where some of the other farms are, what land we own, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about the server. So taking a look here at the map, if you're familiar with the Oaks, you'll recognise the layout obviously, but we'll just bring up the land options. And you can see we are up here. This is our farmyard here around field 95 or plot number 95. Now we own 3 fields. Field 34 up here, which is a arable field, 96, which is currently planted with grass, and we also have this little plot down here, number 97, which is also a grass field, but it isn't actually a defined field as such, so we can't get any precision farming information off it yet, so we might have to go and sort that out. Now taking a look around, we've got a farm up here with a couple of fields, got a farm here in the middle. They own 3 fields down here, so a little bit of a hike from their yard, but that is a very nice yard and very nicely set up. Our 4th farm down here next to these 2 fields, and then right down the bottom, another farmyard down here with the small field across the road. There's also Dazed himself. He has an operation here on field or plot 115. He is set up to be able to spread slurry. He'll buy stones to be able to crush lime and has a number of other sort of side hustles on the go. So he is more of a slurry and lime spreading expert than he is a farmer in this server, or at least that's him set up at the moment. There's also up the top here, there is a transportation company or haulage firm set up where there's trucks and things like that we can lease and hire if we need to. So the idea is if you don't have all the equipment, then you don't have to be able to buy it or lease it. There is other ways or means, whether you can't borrow it from one of the other farms, then you may be able to use it from the haulage firm. So that's basically the summary of the server and how it's going to be going. Now we started off with $1.5 million each, which has gone towards our land purchase and equipment purchases, and we are in here taking a look at the farm. If you haven't done the map tour, then we'll take a little bit of a look around this one, but it is very well set up. There are lots of sheds. There's a huge amount for a starter farm. This is a huge amount of storage space. In fact, I think I've got equipment in that shed there and the open shed beside us there, and that is it. But look at the size of these. Huge. Plenty of space for us to grow and develop as we go along. Silos around the end here as well, so we've got space to store our crops if we get into that side of things, and we are going to be. That is part of the plan. So we've got the silos there, more storage around here. If we head around the back, you might see that there is some buy points or silos there for fertilizer and liquids and diesel and that kind of thing as well. So lots of things set up. I think that one is set up for seed. Now ideally I would have loved to have bought this field and had it right off the back of the yard, but at the moment we just weren't set up financially to be able to do that, which is what's driven us to purchase the fields we have and the way we're going to start doing things. Now we're going to take a very quick look at our equipment, but we are very focused on our grass work. We've got the Massey. That is our main workhorse tractor. We've gone for the 7718 S series. I found that that was actually, for its horsepower, was a very economical tractor compared to a number of others, and we did go into quite a bit of detail at looking at what tractors we might want to get for the horsepower demands, and that was probably one of the best. Just taking a look here, we've got Samaz Winderer, we've got the Vicon Tedder in there, and we actually went for this Einbach weeder, which actually can seed as well. And because we are going to be focusing a lot on our grass work, we can seed grass with this. We can also seed canola, so we can have a canola crop, which we are going to put up in the arable field. Now, the reason I'm talking a lot about grass is because this farm is set up as a dairy farm as well. We do have a shed over there, or a dairy barn, and we will be getting into some cows because I like the idea of having some regular income from the milk, as well as being able to sell the slurry to Dazed in his operation. A bale grab there for the round bales. Smaller tractor, smaller yard tractor, front loader tractor. This is the Massey Ferguson 5S, the 145, so still a decent amount of horsepower in that. The brand new Massey Ferguson R8 baler, R8, RB baler, the RB, round bales, RB for round bales, of course. So that was one that was recently released by Giants along with the Fendt version, obviously both from the Eco family, so looking forward to having a go with that. We have got a Amazon spreader there. We went for the Combi Blow Gold subsoiler as our plough, so that is going to do a good amount of work. And then we set ourselves up with a butterfly mowing setup, which is pretty impressive to be on a starter farm. I did look at just going for the one-sided fold-out mower with the front mower, but when I looked at the horsepower and the cost difference to get that mower, and obviously the front one, which I think is over the other side there, it just actually made proper sense to be able to get both of them. So that is what we have there set up, and that is pretty much all of our equipment. Like I said, pretty simple. We do actually have a low loader down at the shop, which we're going to take the front loader down to pick up some lime, because I think once we get into our fields and figure out what we need to do, we are going to have to go and get some lime spread before we go in and do any seeding. So we'll go over and take a look at our fields in just a second. Obviously this is our animal pasture over here, so when we do get into getting some cows, which hopefully will be in the next month, if I just bring up the HUD, you'll see we're in April. So let me just talk a little bit how the time is working. We've got the time sync mod in there, and it is set to sync with UK time, so it's actually quite good for me. It's 11 PM at night here for me, 12 PM in the day in the UK, so I actually managed to get quite a good amount of daylight hours when I'm on the server, which is nice. Often servers set around foreign time zones aren't quite as friendly for me. Dazed has also adjusted the timescale for daylight and that, so things are brighter in the evenings, so not quite as realistic, but does mean that more people in more time zones are able to play, which is pretty cool. But just talking about the months, we are playing on a 7-day month, so each calendar week, or each IRL week, is one calendar month. So over the course of 12 weeks, we're going to cover a year, which means we should be able to get just over 4 years of seasons covered across one whole IRL year. So like I said earlier, this is a pretty realistic, pretty hardcore server, and hopefully across the next 12 months in real life, we're going to be able to make some real progress with growing this farm up from where we're starting off now to where we end up. So that's pretty exciting. Now, before I go any further, I think we'll go and take a look at our fields, figure out what we're going to do with each and every one of them, and then make a bit of a plan of attack for progressing some work. So let's go and have a look. We'll go for a walk down the road and go and see what needs to be done. So this is the first of our fields we're taking a look at. This is field 34, the biggest field we own, and it is an arable field. It's 4.35 hectares according to the precision farming data. Does need ploughing, obviously. Even though we could plant directly into it, I think we do want to give ourselves the best chance of boosting our yields that we can. The other thing I might do, as we do have a plough, is actually just go a little bit closer to the edge of the field boundaries. You can see there's probably enough space for almost half a tractor width to go down each side, and if we do that the whole way around the headlands, it's really going to increase our arable area, an area we can crop and make some money off. So we'll get in here, we'll do our precision farming data. We'll have to go and buy our field information for this one. We'll come in, get it ploughed, probably get some lime spread on it, and then the intention here is to get some canola planted in here. Obviously using the small seeder we've got, we can get that planted in here. We don't have our own combine, so we are going to have to contract that service out, but I do know there is a couple of farms around that do have that, so we're looking forward to being able to bring them in and see what we can get done. But for now, I think we've got just about all we need to be able to get this started. So that is the first of the fields, field 34, and what we need to do up here. The second of our fields here, it's plot number 96. It doesn't actually have its own field number, but as you can see, it's got some grass in it, and the grass is actually showing up as ready to harvest. So while we need to get in and plough it, while we do need to do some work, it probably hasn't been very well fertilized. I think before we do anything else, we're going to get in here and get maybe some silage made off this. We might get it wrapped up into some bales and make some silage, because then we can put that into our sheds, store it, and use that for our cows. So we want to make sure we've got some food. We don't have to go and buy any before we get our cows in. So that is going to be one of our early tasks. I think once we have got that all ploughed and once we've got that all mowed and the grass taken off it, I think then we'll jump in and plough it, make the field bigger, and probably seed it back in with grass. Undecided, we'll see how we go with time, whether we put an arable crop in here instead, but I think having the grass is going to be the better option for us for keeping our animals fed once we get those. So we need to think forward, we need to plan exactly what we're going to do, and I think that is going to be the best bet considering what we have on the farm and what our equipment is and how we are all set up to go. So this is the last of our 3 fields. This is Farmland ID 97, and it is further away from the farm. It's a little bit of a trek, but it was quite an affordable buy. It doesn't have any precision farming information with it. In fact, it's got no field information because it isn't a ploughed field. It is just grass that has been painted in. So I think looking at the state of the grass, it looks to be in a very similar condition to the other field. So I imagine this is ready to be mown as well. So we'll get down, get this one mowed and converted into some silage as well, get some more silage bales made. And then we'll get in here and plough it and get it all set up with some precision farming data. We will get it limed, and then we'll probably sow it back into grass. I think it's probably a little bit of a haul to be coming down here and doing arable land. Although, in saying that, our neighbours just over the road, which you can't see, but they are behind the trees, they are one of the farms that does have a combine. So it could actually be an option to put some canola down in here as well with their proximity and make it sense to be able to get them to come in and harvest it. But this is the third of our fields, and this is going to be a little bit of a challenge to get to, but it does make it a bit more exciting, a bit more fun to be able to drive around rather than just being stuck in the fields close to the yard. So there we go, that is our look around our farmyard, look around our equipment, summary of our fields and what the status of each of them is. So I think what we're going to jump into here, going to jump into the Massey, go down to the shop, we're going to pick up the low loader down there, we're going to buy a couple of bags of seed while we're down there as well. We might actually get a fork or a big bag handler. We don't actually have anything for on the front other than the bale grab, so we might get that, bring those back down here. I was even contemplating getting some lime in advance of having to spread some lime on those fields, but I think our more pressing need is to actually get in and get that field mowed, get those 2 fields mowed, get some grass taken off, and then we can move on with prepping for the other use. Also mindful of the fact we don't want to miss our seeding window. Once you have a look there, we do only have this calendar week to get that done. So we're in the month of April. The month of April goes from Monday today, which is the 5th of June, through to the following Monday, or following Sunday indeed. So we do have to, over the next 6 days, get our field ploughed and ready to get our canola into. So that could also be something else we need to focus on. But we may even look to contract some services out, getting Dazed's business to come and apply the lime onto the fields, and we'll see how we go. So we've made it down here to the shop, and we've just gone ahead and bought ourselves the big bag lifter. We've gone for the single one, and we've also got ourselves 2 bags of seed and 2 bags of fertilizer. Now I don't know if 2 bags of seed is going to do it or not. I'm not actually sure how much seed we're going to need to plant the canola, but 2 is a decent start. That'll do for now, and obviously the 2 bags of fertilizer we'll need a little bit later. We're going to have to spread the fertilizer manually. We don't have a seeder or planter that will apply fertilizer at the same time, because we are going to be using the weeder, which was just a cheap option. Obviously if we wanted to plant something other than the canola or grass, or oilseed radish for that matter, we would have to consider something else. But for now we're just going to have to make do with what we've got, and we do have the spreader though, so of course we can spread our own fertilizer. Now I was about to say earlier, but just for reference, I'm playing on this in a UK based server or European based server. I'm playing on about 190 millisecond ping, so it's not the speediest connection, but even doing basic loader work like this isn't too difficult. It's certainly manageable. So if you're interested in joining, there is certainly no harm in being remote or being further away, because the general connection speeds and things like that aren't too bad. Now at the moment there is no space for more farms. All the farms are full. There is possibly going to be a further farm intake after maybe the second or third season, once all the farms are established, and there might be an opportunity then. But I imagine that will probably be offered to farmhands, which is in a way that if you wanted to be involved in the server, a way that you could become involved. There is farmhand positions available where you can come on and help people out with some of their work, help out some of the farm managers, maybe join a particular farm that you might want to help out on, and give us a hand when it might be needed. Now, one thing we do have, I'm going to have to hop out here, is manual attach. So we're going to have to come over here, press our button to get that all hooked up, and make sure we get our brake lines and electrical lines and everything hooked up there as well. And we'll come along while we're out of here and get these all strapped down, make sure they don't go anywhere. Right, there we go. I think that is about all we need to do. This is quite a nice looking trailer actually. Would be good. It'd be actually handy to bring down if we wanted to load something else on the back here. We could use that, but it's also going to be very, very handy for moving our bales around once we get into doing those. So jump into the tractor, head on back down to the farm. So that's us back here at the farm with the trailer. Now I think for now I might just try and back it in here into this shed. We might even unload it once we get in there, but for now if we just back it in there and leave it in there, at least the seed and fertilizer is protected if it does rain or anything like that, and we can worry about that once we need it. Now we are going to need it at some stage, but I think the more pressing and urgent matter is to get in and actually do some ploughing in the field where the canola is going to be planted, because, so basically just leave that there for now, because I think we are going to need to plough the edge of that field before we can do the precision farming data, because we want to make sure we get everything covered. So that's going to mean getting here into the 7718 and hooking up to the subsoiler and going to get that done. Now one little glitch I've noticed on this, and I don't know whether it's a me issue or a server lag or what it is, but I can't pick these cones up and move them out of the way. So I don't know what the issue is, and if you knock them over they don't disappear. They will move, but as soon as you've reloaded back in, they're back in the same spot. So not sure quite what the issue is with that one, but anyhow, it is what it is. We'll make do with it. So let's head on into the shed next door. We'll pick up the subsoiler, and then we're going to go for a drive over to that field 34 and get that one all ripped up, turned over, and ready for some soil analysis to figure out what we need to do to it next. So here we are pulling into the field, so our first field work here on the new server. Now I'm going to be very, very cautious about going around the edge of this field with create fields on, because with the way my lag and server behavior is, I don't want to be going anywhere I shouldn't be. So let's get that lowered down. I think we should be able to turn on create fields. I wonder if that's going to be an option for this. In fact, it's not, because it's a cultivator, so we're not even going to be able to use this to make this field any larger. So we might have to see if we can contract or borrow an actual plough off one of the other farmers to get this field made a little bit larger. But let's just drop this down and double check that we are going to be able to get a ploughed state here with this one. Let's just rip this through here and see what happens as we go through. Is it going to undo the ploughing, or are we actually not going to be achieving what we want to achieve? Let's just pause there and just have a quick look. Right, so at least the area that said needs ploughing is now no longer showing up as needing ploughing. So at least we are doing something we wanted to do. We do have a few rocks appearing. I'm not sure if anyone has the ability or offers any services to come and remove rocks. I know Dazed will buy them, but I'm not sure if he's offering a service to remove them. That could be something we might put a little request up in the Discord server for and get something done there. So we've got a couple of things we need to figure out if someone is able to do that for us. So I'm just going to crack on. We're going to get this field done, and that'll be probably it for this episode. It's a kind of an introductory. I know we've got more to do this calendar week, but the idea will be that this series is going to be a little diary into what's been done on the farm, or what happened on the farm this week, and taking a little bit of a look at what else is happening on the server, because I think it'll be fascinating to see. And maybe each episode will just focus a little bit on one of the other farms, find out what they're doing, what their focus is, and what services and what different aspects of agriculture they might be providing. But anyhow, let's just jump into this with a little bit of a time lapse. I keep on pressing the wrong button because we're using a different cruise control mod that I'm not familiar with, so my normal cruise control buttons aren't working. So we'll just have to make sure that we keep on remembering to make that little adjustment. But I'm just, like I said, we are just going to jump into a little bit of a time lapse. One other thing to mention, this tractor does have GPS. We didn't put it into the other smaller Massey, but this one definitely does, so we'll be making use of that as we get our way through the field. Anyhow, enough dribbling from me, let's jump into a time lapse. Right, so we've made it about halfway across the field here. We've got the subsoiler going pretty well. We are getting some rocks popping up, which isn't too much of an issue. We'll deal with those as best we can. We might put a bit of a call out on the server to see if anyone else wants to come and pick these up and take them away. Free of charge, they can pick them up and do what they want. In fact, if they want to charge me for the service, then I'm prepared to pay to have them removed, because obviously get rid of them, they will help our yield. But everything's going pretty well. We'll get through this and get it finished, and then we'll be all good. Now I do want to also see if, like I said earlier, see if we can get someone who has a plough that we can come around and tidy up those field edges, make the field just a little bit bigger, because obviously the bigger we can make it, the more we can profit off it. And there is quite a bit of space, particularly around this top headland up here near the road. There's quite a bit of space we could look to gain by doing some work there. So that is on the cards. But anyhow, I'm just going to box on and get this finished, and we'll catch up with you next time. Like I said, I'm hoping to do this kind of like a monthly diary sort of episode, so this is just more of an introduction and welcome to the server and what it's all about. So keep an eye out soon for the Year 1 April diary and what's been done in that time. But until then, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you are looking forward to following along with our progress and with the progress of those other farms on the server. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.